In this video, we got to talk about Halo Infinite pros banding together to try to get 343 to improve Halo Infinite. There's a lot we got to dig into and talk about, but the GameLeap website's the best place to quickly climb to Onyx and beyond with in-depth pro breakdowns, tips and tricks, map guides, weapon courses, and so much more. Do yourself a favor, go check it out right now down below. Now, Halo is in a pretty bad state. We've talked about this ad nauseum on this channel. However, while some pros have said things here and there about the state of the game, for the most part, they have been relatively silent until recently, where the floodgates seem to have opened and every single pro is talking about the state of the game, talking about Halo Infinite and its future, and many of these players are legitimately scared about the future of Halo because it's directly tied to their employment, their job, their path to pro, and let's actually dig into some of what they have to say. First C9 Renegade says this, quote, "I'm sorry, but Halo is so boring right now. They need new content, feels like a beta still." I could not agree with you more. Snipe Down, someone who literally was on a top team in Apex, dropped that to come to Halo because of his history in Halo, said this in quote, "I have to use every fiber of self-control to not come on here and roast the absolute shit out of the poor excuse for a rank system Halo Infinite uses every day, and it still just makes me so sad." Usually with these kind of tweets, you have a lot of people defending how things are, but it's even more of a statement when everyone agrees with something like this, and seems a ton of people have actually stopped playing altogether due to the system. Please, it makes no sense that there is even a rank system if we are all placed into games based off of hidden MMR. Start matching people based off their in-game rank and make it actually mean something, because right now it doesn't, and it's so demoralizing for us all. Now, there's several things I actually want to touch on here. First off, I've said this repeatedly, past a certain rank, probably the Onyx rank, there should not be any MMR. You should go up based on your wins and losses, your impact. That's all that should be taken into account. And you should not be put into a lobby by a hidden based MMR that is not connected directly to your rank. This is how it's been in many other games, and this is ultimately the solution that they've come up with. And the reason that MMR exists anyways, or in the first place, is because if you're in a lower rank but a higher skill, they want to ramp you up to whatever rank you deserve. But when you're in a higher rank like Snipe Down, it doesn't make sense for him to be in one rank, but he's getting placed with people of completely different ranks, and it just makes the rank system feel completely worthless. And that's what Snipe Down is directly talking to. Now, the second part of this that's so sad is the fact that Snipe Down, like I said, chose Halo Infinite over Apex. He stepped down from the peak of a very successful game to pursue a game not because it made logistical sense, but because it has a lot to do with his history, his start. Snipe Down is one of the OG Halo players, and he's a legend in the Halo scene, and he wanted to, ride that wave with the new Halo Infinite. And I'm sure that there's just about no one that wants more success for Halo than Snipe Down does, but it is freaking frustrating from his perspective, from all of our perspectives, and I definitely think that it's pretty sad when someone like Snipe Down speaks out like this. Next up is Spartan. He says, quote, "Hey, what are you guys working on today at Halo?" They didn't respond, of course. Optic said, quote, "Halo Infinite and 343 are making me sad. That is all." And Frosty responded to this saying, "Really hope they have something up their sleeve. We haven't seen small changes to comp settings for our sake." And Spartan responded to Lucid saying, quote, "10-year live service game, but after Worlds, we're all gonna be on unemployment." And I think that really speaks to a fear here. While some of these bigger streamers are more or less safe, people like Lucid, people like Snipe Down, these people are a lot safer, right? They have a pretty big platform, a pretty big community. Halo Infinite dying out of nowhere or substantially shrinking wouldn't destroy these players, but it would hurt them substantially. But you got to think about all of the pros in Halo that are not as well known. There's a lot of them, and a lot of these players are basically like living or dying in the pro scene based on whether or not Halo Infinite lives or dies. They haven't had a long enough time period to build up their own fan base in Halo as it is, because the game hasn't been active for very long, and a lot of esports orgs are going to be more and more hesitant to invest in Halo Infinite unless things turn around. So it's legitimate concerns from these players, and it's definitely very real and very scary for many of them. And it's incredibly bad when you see this big esports plan, right? There's like all these LAN events and all these huge events and this path to pro and these tournaments and all these ways to make points and grind the path to pro. They are basically trying to sell the dream to climb the path to pro and giving people more tools than ever to do so. But when the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is all these pros freaking out because they don't have any job security, and many of them, especially the ones that are on the smaller side that you might not even know of, are just worried that they're just gonna lose their job and, you know, orgs are gonna cut the entire roster. That is incredibly worrying for the future of Halo esports. Next up, we had Snakebite say this, quote, "How many tweets from different players, streamers, and creators do you think it will take before we start fully heading in the right direction?" I say fully because the potential is already there, and that's step 1. 10 years of mistakes, wake up and start being accountable at Halo. He then followed up this statement saying, quote, "Before I get replies about this tweet, the video game industry is extremely complex. Easy things aren't always easy, and sometimes players aren't fair on that. But at the same time, there are plenty of games and devs doing it right. Be accountable and take the right steps." And I do like this nuanced take that it really talks to some of the people that heavily defend 343. Like, we understand that, you know, things can be very difficult to do. Simple things could be very complicated on the back end, and the list goes on and on. But at a certain point, things that were promised need to be delivered on, and that's just not happening. There's no roadmap. There is almost no updates. We got an update that fixed Big Team Battle twice because the first one didn't work, and that is what 343 is alluding to as live service. There's so many problems right now, and I think that it's important to not just give 343, Microsoft, Halo a pass on all of that, especially when there were all these promises that were, you know, stated and then never delivered on. Something that's incredibly important for people to understand is that a lot of games work off of momentum. You have something that's an incredible launch and there's a whole bunch of hype involved. Everyone is crazy excited about it. You have these pros from established games swapping over. You have these announcements of huge esports tournaments. And then what you do on top of that momentum is you keep dropping piece of content after piece of content after piece of content. And the way that you do that is when the game is launched, you already have a whole bunch of stuff that you're sandbagging that you already have, right? You have it all lined up. So for the next, like, you know, I don't know, 6 months straight, it's just like nonstop barrage of things over and over and over again. And that's how you swell that hype and you get a lot of people to consistently grind the game. And Halo Infinite had that insane start. There was a lot of great reviews. Call of Duty and Battlefield freaking threw so hard. All these pros came in and there was so much potential because people loved the game. But then it was like release, and then we got campaign, and then it's like nothing. Like they just launched it as if they were pushing it through when it wasn't ready because they wanted to hit that Christmas hype. They wanted to get that Christmas dollar. And the truth is 343 or Microsoft or whoever's in charge of the Halo finances needs to start thinking about Halo for the long term, okay? If you want to use this as a giant cash grab and fuck over all these people, then you are going to kill a franchise. That's just the reality of it. If you are okay with sacrificing all this crazy money right now for the future of this franchise to live and thrive for 10, 20, 30 years down the line, that's what you gotta do, okay? That's the only way, because you're basically cashing in. Sure, you released it early. It was not ready. It was not done. You did not have content stockpiled. And yeah, I know I'm ranting a little bit, but at this point, I'm just a little fucking pissed off. Anyways, tell me what you think is the future path for 343. What needs to be done? What do you think about what the pros are saying? How much have you been playing Halo Infinite? I really want to hear your opinions. Please join the conversation right now down below.